In 1974, a Dutch footballer did something on a football pitch that nobody had ever seen before. He was about to cross the ball. The Swedish defender was ready, perfectly positioned, anticipating the move. And then Cruyff dragged the ball behind his own standing foot, turned 180 degrees in less than a second, and was gone. The defender didn't fall over. He just stopped, like a soldier whose entire battle plan had just been deleted in front of his eyes. That one moment, the Cruyff Turn, became the most famous single move in football history. But here is the truth that most people miss. That turn wasn't just a trick, it was a philosophy. It was the physical expression of Johan Cruyff's entire belief system, that intelligence always beats strength, that space is the most powerful weapon on a football pitch, that you can hack the game itself, rewrite its rules if you think differently enough. And Johan Cruyff spent his entire life doing exactly that, as a player, as a manager, as a thinker. This is the story of the man who didn't just play football, he rewired it. To truly understand what Cruyff did to football, you first need to understand the world he was born into. In the 1950s and 1960s, football was played in a very specific way. Teams defended first, attacked second. Safety was everything. The most respected tactical system in Europe at the time was Italy's catenaccio, which in Italian literally means door bolt. The idea was simple. Lock your defensive lines so tight that nothing could get through. Pack your penalty area with bodies. Make the pitch feel like a fortress wall. And then, when you won the ball, kick it long to a striker and hope for the best. There was very little creativity, very little movement, very little space. Think of it like trench warfare. Two armies facing each other in fixed positions, neither willing to move, both waiting for the other to make a mistake. It was effective, but it was also deeply suffocatingly boring. And more importantly, it was limited, because the entire system assumed that space was something you protected from the enemy. Cruyff saw it completely differently. He understood something that most coaches and players of that era completely missed. Space is not just something you defend. Space is a weapon, and if you learn to create it, control it, and attack through it, you can destroy any defensive structure ever built. This was the seed of total football, and it would change everything. Cruyff joined Ajax's youth academy at age 10, and from the very beginning, the coaches there recognized something unusual, not just his technical ability, but his mind. Cruyff processed the game at a different speed to everyone around him. He saw the spaces before they existed. He moved into positions that looked wrong until suddenly, 2 seconds later, they were the most dangerous position on the pitch. His manager at Ajax, the brilliant Rinus Michels, took this natural intelligence and built an entire system around it. The system became known as total football. And the concept, when you break it down simply, is this. In normal football, each player has a fixed job. The center back defends. The striker attacks. The right midfielder stays on the right. Everyone stays in their lane. Total football destroys those lanes entirely. Imagine a military operation where every soldier is trained to perform every role. The sniper can also drive the tank. The medic can also command the squadron. Everyone can go anywhere at any time. On a football pitch, this means when the right back attacks, the central midfielder drops to cover his position. When the striker drops deep to receive the ball, the attacking midfielder runs in behind to fill the striker's zone. The shape of the team never breaks, but the personnel inside that shape are always moving, always rotating, always interchanging. For defenders, this was a nightmare. Imagine being told, your job is to mark number 9. And then number 9 drops to midfield. Do you follow him and leave space in behind? Or do you stay and give him freedom on the ball? Either choice is wrong. That is the trap. Cruyff was the living center of this system. He would appear in midfield, drag defenders with him, and then the space he had vacated was immediately filled by a rushing teammate. It was not just football. It was an engineered collapse of the opponent's entire defensive structure. Ajax won the European Cup, the equivalent of today's Champions League, 3 consecutive times. 1971, 1972, 1973. Nobody had ever seen anything like it.
and the world was about to see it on the biggest stage of all.
The 1974 World Cup in West Germany was supposed to be Holland's coronation. They arrived as the most tactically advanced team the world had ever seen. Their opening match, they attacked Sweden so relentlessly, so fluidly, that the Swedish defenders spent the entire game chasing shadows. Every time they thought they knew where the danger was coming from, it had already moved. This was total football at its most devastating. An army that had no fixed formation, no predictable shape, no exploitable weakness. And at the center of it all, Cruyff, operating as a number 9, who was really a number 10, dropping deep, dragging defenders, creating corridors of space that his teammates ran through like water through open doors. Then came the moment that football historians still talk about today. Holland versus Sweden. Cruyff receives the ball near the touchline. The Swedish defender Johan Olsson closes tight, perfectly positioned, perfectly timed. Every coaching manual in 1974 said, "The cross is coming. Get your body set. Block the cross." Cruyff dragged the ball back with the inside of his right foot, rotated completely in less than a second. Olsson was stranded, facing the wrong direction, out of the game, eliminated in one movement. That turn was not just skill, it was the physical definition of Cruyff's entire philosophy. When the enemy prepares for the expected, deliver the unexpected. When the defender sets his defensive position, destroy that position before it becomes useful. Holland marched through to the final, 1-0 before Germany had touched the ball, a penalty won by Cruyff himself after running half the length of the pitch in the first 90 seconds. But Germany fought back. They adjusted their defensive structure, man-marking Cruyff more aggressively, cutting off his supply lines, denying him the deep spaces he craved. Germany won 2-1. Holland, the greatest footballing army of their generation, finished second. Cruyff never played at another World Cup. It remains one of football's most painful what-ifs. But his story, the revolutionary story, was far from over. When Cruyff retired as a player, he didn't leave football. He invaded it from a different direction. In 1988, he became manager of Barcelona, and what he built there was not just a football team, it was a tactical empire. Cruyff took his total football philosophy and refined it, made it sharper, made it more structured. He called his system positional play, using precise positioning on the pitch to create and exploit space. The central idea? Always have more passing options than the opponent has defenders. If you keep the ball moving fast enough in the right positions, the opponent's defensive shield will always have a gap. Always. His weapon on the pitch was a quiet, intelligent young midfielder named Pep Guardiola. Cruyff looked at Guardiola and said, "You will be the brain of this team. You will sit deep. You will control the tempo. You will be the general on the field." Guardiola absorbed everything. Barcelona won 4 consecutive La Liga titles. In 1992, in Wembley, they won the European Cup for the first time in the club's entire history. Ronald Koeman's free kick, 1-0, Sampdoria beaten. Cruyff raised his fists. The general had conquered Europe. Johan Cruyff died in March 2016, lung cancer, age 68. Outside the Camp Nou, the stadium where he played, managed, and left his deepest mark, thousands of fans gathered. They brought flowers, scarves, shirts. A Barcelona statement read simply, "Cruyff is immortal." And in football terms, they were right. Because every time you watch Pep Guardiola's Manchester City move the ball in triangles, drawing opponents out of position before striking through the gap, that is Cruyff. Every time you watch a modern team press with intensity, hunting the ball high up the pitch, suffocating the opposition before they can breathe, that is Cruyff. Every time a fullback overlaps into attack, or a striker drops into midfield, or a central midfielder appears in a goal-scoring position, that is Cruyff. The positionless football, the fluid shapes, the obsession with space over size, intelligence over brute force, all of it traces back to one man, thinking differently in Amsterdam in the late 1960s. Think about what Cruyff actually achieved. He hacked the game. When the entire football world was defending from fixed positions in rigid formations, Cruyff looked at the pitch and said, what if the positions themselves were the trap? What if the most dangerous thing you could do was make your opponent think they knew where you would be and then be somewhere else entirely? That one idea, applied across a playing career, a management career, and a lifetime of thinking, produced the most influential tactical legacy in football history. Guardiola, Klopp, Pochettino, Nagelsmann, Ten Hag, every elite manager working today has been shaped, directly or indirectly, by Johan Cruyff's ideas. He did not just win matches, he rewrote the language that football is played in. The mastermind who hacked the game. And the game has never been the same since. Here is your question for today. If you had to pick one idea from Cruyff's football philosophy, just one, that has had the biggest impact on modern football, what would it be? Total football? Positional play? Pressing? The freedom to be creative? Drop your answer in the comments right now and tell me, which current manager do you think carries Cruyff's ideas the furthest? If you want more deep dives into the greatest tactical minds and football stories ever told, subscribe right now. Every single week, we go deeper than anyone else does. The next mind we dissect is going to surprise you.